Alright, let's define hate. The top definition on Google for it is feel an intense dislike for. Alright, now let's define intense. Showing strong feelings or opinions. Right, so I'll stay by my opinion that I hate Your Bizarre Adventure, personally. Also makes pretty good clickbait title. But the question is now, why do I feel this way towards the game? I mean, I've made some videos on it, and no, this is not because my YBA and VR video flopped and then some guy did the same concept and got 50k views. No, not at all. I don't like Your Bizarre Adventure personally because of a handful of reasons, and so we're going to be going through them. So, here we go. Section 1, grinding. Okay, so similarly to other games in the JoJo genre, like a Universal Time or a Bizarre Day, Your Bizarre Adventure, you find arrows around the map and use them. To get rid of these, you use a Roca fruit. However, in a Universal Time and a Bizarre Day, that's the only thing you do. In Your Bizarre Adventure, the different stand arrows have different rarities. Along with that, there are also different Rocas. Some resetting just the stand, but others resetting just your skill points. What are skill points, you ask me? Skill points can be used on yourself, your stand ability, and your fighting style. You get skill points by completing quests, a storyline, and other things of a similar nature. Grinding is not so simple, because you have all these other factors. There are so many items to deal with in this game. All have very different uses. Some items you find randomly spawning on the floor, and some you can get from, say it with me kids, gambling. Every YBA player's favourite pastime. How do you gamble? By using in-game currency and items. How do you get that? Grinding. And what's an easy way to get around the long, tedious grinding? Spending money. The biggest problem I have with Your Bizarre Adventure is the pay-to-win elements. Now, I get it. Paying to have an advantage is a very negative thing, but don't get me wrong, you can go about this in different ways. Let's take everybody's favourite Project Star, the game I've proclaimed to be outstanding and a breath of fresh air for JoJo Roblox games. This game, let's see. Now, while playing through the story, I did spend a sizable chunk of Robux on it, but do you want to know what I spent it on? 2 stand skin arrows and a motorcycle for getting around the map faster. None of these give me a competitive advantage against the other players. In order to gain that advantage, you need to play the game and grind by completing quests and their story. Now, while yes, it's the same in Your Bizarre Adventure, some stands are much more combat viable than others. And wouldn't you know it, you can purchase stand rerolls with Robux in YBA to get the chance of getting a better, rarer stand. But let's say you do this, you buy a reroll and you get a good stand that you're happy with, and it's pretty combat viable. Now, let's say in your inventory, you have a God Over Heaven stand arrow McGee with a 100% chance to get you the world over the world in heaven above earth overpowered Goku infused Megumin base stand. Unlike in Project Star, where you can go back to the bank and you can store a handful of pretty much anything you get, in YBA you have to pay for stand storage. But that should be okay. Alright, let's just take a look at the prices.
Oh my goodness! Squidward!
For 1 extra stand slot, it costs you 749 Robux, which is nearly the equivalent of about $9 whole. And if you want to buy every single stand slot you can get, with the max being 6, including the one you get in-game for free after getting to Prestige 2, it will cost you about $46.83. Maybe, just maybe, if they were cheaper this would be okay, but that is a complete and utter rip-off. I also feel like it's taking advantage of the fact there's no trading in YBA, so you can't use your alt accounts for storage. Take a Bizarre Day. That game, to get stand storage, you could buy it with in-game currency you'd find just lying around on the ground around the map. Along with that, you could use alt accounts for storage, which was allowed. So that made the need for stand storage more of a luxury than a need. The game has so many paid for elements, and that in itself isn't all that bad. A game dev's gotta eat. But my problem is the fact it's almost taking advantage of the players by making some of the things you need to buy huge helps, or things that are nearly needed if you want to get good at the game. And they're all priced at the most insane price points. Shadow Network covered the grinding in this video here. I did ask him to mention the pay-to-win elements, but he didn't end up touching up on that. For grinding in the video, I ended up giving a Bizarre Day and YBA a point in each category, because as much as I hate YBA grinding, as long and tedious as it is, some people do like that, and some people don't mind spending Robux on the game. If you see value in that, then it's alright in my book. But personally, I cannot stomach the YBA grinding. Section 2. Combat. I don't like the combat system in YBA. Controversial opinion, I know. I can't lay my finger on it, but it feels stiff. And I also find that you get ragdolled way too much. And then you get back up again, and your stand has been desummoned. It is painful trying to 1v1 anyone in this game, as it's a constant battle of simply trying to keep your stand out. Call it a skill issue, because partially, maybe, yeah, I haven't poured hundreds of hours into the game. But even so, should I have to be a god at the game to not deal with this constant annoyance? The combat is really unbalanced, as some stands are way better than others. I already touched on that, but it's very true and very annoying because some of the better stands are really rare. The combat isn't simple, which is not a bad thing at all. That's more so an opinion of mine. But the combat isn't simple to the point where you get a stand and boom, that's it. For starters, you need to level up the stand by doing quests to unlock certain moves. Then there's the blocking system, and of course the ragdoll, which is hell. I'm not the biggest fan of the combat, but if you take the time to learn it, I can see how it could be fun. It just takes time to learn. Even if I feel it can be sloppy, there is so much worse out there. Section 3. Story. Okay, everything I've mentioned so far can be justified. Sure, some people prefer spending their life savings and wasting their life away than being handed something. Sure, I get it. The combat people like learning the combos and feeling of beating others in the competitive arena. Sure, I get it. What there is not a saving grace for is the downright awful story. Okay, so from playing it, I can tell you it's an alternative telling of Golden Wind's story, just featuring you, the player. It is your bizarre adventure after all. So you start the story by helping JoJo smuggle a stolen suitcase from Koichi past police officers. Oh, okay, seems fair enough. By murdering them. What? Okay. And then he asks if I could return the suitcase back to Koichi. So what was the point of killing the police officers then? Alright, so I give it back to Koichi and he asks me to thank the guy who stole it from him for giving it back to him. What world is this? So we go back to JoJo and he tells me to kill Leaky Eye Luca. Violence ensues. JoJo tells me to kill Bruno. I kill Bruno. I then meet up with JoJo and he says him and Bruno are working together now. Well, that escalated quickly. Okay, so I join Bruno's gang. He makes me have a conversation with every single member, which is really tedious and provides nothing to the story, and you make no progress during this other than getting XP. It requires no skill, and it's just boring trying to locate them in the giant city with no direction. Okay, then I kill a bunch of members of La Squadra Esquizoni, then kill Diavolo. And that is the end of the YBA story. Did I feel satisfied as hell when I completed it for the first time? Yes, I did. Did I think the story was good? Oh, God, no. The altered / original parts of the story make no sense. Then it's just the part 5 story but dumbed down so the typical YBA player can understand it. The thing is, you can make a good JoJo Roblox game story, which is what infuriates me about the Your Bizarre Adventure story. I mean, take a look at Project Star. I loved that story. Sure, it was basic, but it was original and it had fun with itself. Plus, instead of talking to the NPCs and fighting bosses, there was exploration and dungeons. And also, it didn't all happen in the exact same city area. If you want to watch my overview / review of Project Star, it's in the annotation appearing now in the top right of the screen. Anyways, no, I hate the YBA story. I think it's shit. Section 4, personal preferences. Okay, now it's time to start arguments. Well, as if I haven't already got 10,000 dislikes from angry Your Bizarre Adventure fans. So, here we go. I don't like the fact the game's R15. I prefer R6 by a long mile. And to top it off, the fact the game is R15 and isn't R6, some of the R15 animations look awful. I am sorry, but what is this? I hate the fact the game makes your avatar slightly skinny. Like, it's not even much, but it's just enough to be annoying. The map is far too big and doesn't look that great. The characters feel lifeless and uninspired. The bosses are way too difficult. Not because they're a challenge, but because they're unfair. especially Diavolo. To unlock the Steel Ball run, you need a minimum of Prestige 2, which I think is stupid, as the Steel Ball run in YBA is the highlight of the game in my opinion. I understand they did it so it wasn't a bunch of potatoes playing the Steel Ball run, but I feel like it could have made it more fun, and made people more determined to get better at the game so they could beat the Steel Ball run. My final thoughts. Your Bizarre Adventure is not a bad game. Far from being a bad game. I just really do not enjoy playing it personally, and if you do, that's okay. I can see why, and it's not like I haven't had any fun with the game, because I have. But I've had more experiences with the game where I've been bored and frustrated out of my mind than I have had fun. YBA is a solid JoJo Roblox game, but it's just not my favourite. Also, I'm still upset about the YBA in VR video. Gapz, this is a call out to you, buddy. I challenge you to a rap battle. Gapz. Yo. More like crap. YBA. Fire! Your channel's bad. Yeah. Haven't uploaded in 3 weeks. Yeah. What am I doing with my channel?